Alright everyone, welcome back to part 2 of this video segment showcasing the iFly Home Cockpit Builders Edition. And a couple things. I'm still at Las Vegas, sitting on the runway. I have programmed a round robin from Vegas to Vegas, and just to give you an idea of performance, I have filled the sky with clouds, overcast, and I am running dense cloud coverage with some rain there, and even in virtual cockpit, that is my frames per second. Anywhere between, it fluctuates between 45 and 60 depending. I don't run any external limiters or anything like that. I've had a lot of issues with them in the past. But just to show you that there is no performance impact when I go ahead and start the client, go ahead and start that now. As you can see, we have our gauges up. Everything's pretty much represented to what is in the iFly and what is my performance. Sorry about that. And we're still in the same range that we were, so no issues there. However, if you were to run your home cockpit with your undocked gauges, and you start to see a little bit of a hit. Now I've dropped down to the 50s ranges, not getting up into that 60. Let's see what happens if I undock them and want to move them around. And there we go again, starting to see now 30s, 40s. My system's a little bit high powered, so the performance impact isn't going to be much on my side. However, one thing I do want to show you is running this home cockpit system software. You don't have to have your gauges under the Performance tab to be the fastest refresh rate, because guess what? You don't use them. You don't need them. So let me show you here. Let's go into here, Performance, the new Performance tab that they put in. And as you can see, I run everything on slow because I don't need it. These are your in FSX gauges, and I don't need them. They don't affect the client whatsoever. But just to give you an idea, let's bump everything up to fast. Let's see what happens to our performance. Now fast would pretty much give you smooth gauges all around. And now let's go back. And oh, now we're down to 25, 30. Gauges will be smooth, yes, but we are getting, of course, a performance hit. But if I go back now, go back to the performance, put them back on slow. In the sim, the gauges will be very slow to refresh. However, on my MIP, they will not be. Let's see if we can't give you a little example. So I'm going to move the heading bug. As you can see on the computer inside FSX, it is very, very slow. It's trying to catch up. And that is because we have the gauges on slow refresh rate. However, if we go down to our MIP, it's very, very smooth, moving with all my turns, not even close to that. So you can see a dramatic increase in performance just by using this server and client software, because it's all run by network. Your graphics on your FSX computer and your CPU and all that stuff has nothing to do with how these gauges run. It's all dependent on the computer that you are running the gauges on, which is excellent for home cockpit builders, because now you can fly in weather like this and you don't have to worry about frame rates. So to give you an idea now of some of the dynamic features, I have my mid switches down here, main DU, lower DU switches, and which of course represent these switches right here, and by my SIOC code they are functional. So as you can see, I'm turning my switch down here and it is moving the switch up here. Now you can do this with the regular iFly version. You don't have to have the home cockpit version to do this. You just need to script your SIOC to work all the switches basically. It's a little bit of work, and if you need help, I will be glad to help you on the forum. I have pretty much all my scripts already made, and I can pretty much give it to you, and all you have to do is just change the input numbers. But anyway, back onto this. Now, as you can see, once again, completely dynamic. What's happening inside FSX is happening on my MIP. So if I turn my switch, as you can see, my DUs move, depending on how I configure them. Also, a nice little treat here. You can see my lighting panel down here isn't quite finished yet, but I do have encoder switches that I plan to put in my DU brightness. I just haven't wired them yet. But using an SIOC script and the iFly variables, we can make switches that can reduce, and look what happens. We changed it in FSX, and it's now changed it on here. So you can program encoders to control the brightness of the DUs inside the iFly and FSX, and it will control your home cockpit gauges. Isn't that neat how they set that up? And it's pretty dynamic too. I mean, I'm clicking the mouse here, and as I click the mouse, it's either brightening or darkening. Very, very fast to respond. I don't ever have a need to brighten these, but again, it's a neat little thing to show you how dynamic the iFly team has made this software. Now again, my MIP is all coded up, so what you see on the MIP is what you see in FSX. My master caution light is on, representing there. If I push my master caution light goes out, reset, master caution light comes on, electric comes on, and oh, what is that? That is the electric symbol. Now, what you are seeing right now is an interface made by one of our community members that turns a lot of the iFly variables into FS/UIPC offsets, custom offsets that you can read and write from. So when something changes in the iFly, you can read the light status and program your lights to come on as they come on the iFly. Let's see, if we don't like that, then we can always do, let's say, this light test. Watch this. Click that on, there's my lights, brake lights, gear lights, and look, all representative of what is happening on the iFly. If I turn them off, once again, they go out, and they're out on the iFly. So whatever happens on iFly and FSX on my lights, this will include your overhead panels as well. All your lights for that will illuminate here. So that's a little extra thing for you home cockpit builders. Even those of you who don't want this home cockpit software, you can do this in the regular iFly. The interface is still in testing, and I have no idea when it's going to release. That's going to be up to the community member who has taken the time to generously make this interface for us, and we do heavily appreciate his time, because without him we would not have been able to do this. But so for those of you who are worried that your MIP will not work with the iFly, it's completely farce. You're gonna, once this interface is released, which is going to be of course completely freeware, you're going to be able to hook up every switch, every light that you have to interface with the iFly, and it's pretty much like you're going to be flying the actual thing, and whatever happens on your MIP is going to happen inside the cockpit. So let's give you a little rundown of how fast these gauges move. I'm going to switch to have my engine readouts right here so that you can see how fast they start moving. We'll go ahead and start the engines here. I think I've got everything set. Oh, yep, there we go. So, there we go. Engines are firing up. And one over here. Pop the fuel switches, and there we go. You see, no lag whatsoever. Everything comes up very nicely. Nice and quick. Start the other one now, even though we're still in the start process for the other one. Go ahead and start that one. For it. You'll get 20% and N1. And there we go. Master caution light has extinguished, as it has on the iFly as well. EGT is rising nicely. Low pressure. Okay, now I'm going to hit my engine button because I want it right there, and this would be the lower DU, of course, but I've got it displayed here because I don't have my lower DU monitor. So that would be there blank, and as you can see, there it is, blank. Now I'm going to hit my systems button to bring up brake temp and the flight controls. Again, whatever happens in the FSX panel is going to happen on my MIP. Do a little flight controls test. It's nice, rudder is working nicely. Again, everything's really smooth. Go back to the navigation panel. Oh, something you guys might be interested in. I'll just zoom out on here and maybe you can guess at what I'm hinting at. And I'll zoom back in again. If you did not understand what I was trying to show you, well, then we're just not keeping up with the times now, are we? Anyway, now that we're all set up, started, I'm going to finish this up. We're going to start a takeoff, and as soon as we start takeoff roll, I will power up the video camcorder again to show you once again the smoothness of these gauges, and to show you that this is no joke. This software is excellent for any home cockpit builder. So I'll be right back once we get all set up.